Rising horror darling Samara Weaving is back with a new religious thriller called Azrael. We're going to review it. Anyway, let's go. Azrael stars Samara Weaving and is directed by E.L. Katz. What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new 2024 review. This is a movie that I remember running through it when I did Bloody Disgusting's like upcoming 40 more movies for the rest of the year for like the last 4 months. After I did my last top 10 for the middle 4 months of the year. Check that out if you haven't. You know, we always say that the movie star is dead, but in horror that's not true, because if Samara Weaving wasn't like the lead actress and it was like a no-name actress, I might not have been, enticed to give this such a quick chance. But as soon as I see certain names like Samara Weaving, I'm in there. Yeah, I like to see the trailer and everything, but still, if it's horror and it's Samara Weaving, there's a good chance I'm going to be there. And there's probably a few names that, will easily get most horror fans, in the seats, right? So I think the movie star is still around. It still works to some extent, especially in horror. But anyway, let's jump right into this and give you a quick plot synopsis. Now, this takes place, I guess, after the Rapture, and that's a biblical term. Supposedly, when the Rapture happens, like say in the Christian religion, this is when all the followers of Christ, they are ascended up to heaven if they are worthy, and if they're not worthy, then they are stuck down on earth. And there's like a title card at the beginning of this movie. I'm assuming that it's from the Bible, but it's basically stating that whoever's left behind, they're mute, almost like they are cursed. And so you have this religious community of zealots, and they have their certain rules that they want to follow. And I guess one of the members, Azrael, played by Samara Weaving, she escapes with her love interest. And so this is pretty much a survival movie. And I will say, this movie is off and running. Like from the beginning, it's not necessarily boring at all, but I do think there are some gaps that could have been filled along the way. We will get into the cons of the movie, but I'm going to start you off with the pros. Now, by the way, this is the fourth movie that is a horror movie based around religion that involves a pregnancy. Okay, I'm going to put it that way so it's not spoilery or anything. But the fourth movie this year, Apartment 7A, I just did that one, Immaculate, and First Omen. Now you have this one. That's 4 movies with a pregnant lady in the movie, okay? And it is pivotal to the plot of the movie. What the hell is going on? This is weird. This is crazy. Like, this has never happened before. And they're all 4 solid movies. There's a cut to the chase. I do like this movie. I'd say of the 4 movies, it's probably 3 out of the 4. A 7A was only average. This one's slightly above 7A. But let me tell you what I liked about the movie. The first thing is, and this may sound like a con at the beginning, but just stay with me. The first half of this movie, it does feel like, kind of boring, even though things are happening. But I think it was just a lesson in that you can actually have action in a movie. But if your audience is sort of like scratching their head because maybe characters weren't built enough, or you don't really care about the villain of the movie, maybe even the protagonist, you don't care about him as much, just because there's some information that hasn't really been given, even though you know the plot of the movie, but you feel like you just need more. I need something in there to get me really invested. Okay, so that's how I felt like the first half of the movie. And then there's a section in the movie, kind of in the middle, where there's a really, really violent scene, and a certain group of characters are presented. In this case, it is the creatures of the movie. And if you've seen the trailer, you will notice there are creatures in this movie. Okay. And this is where you get to see the creatures in full effect and how dangerous they are. And I think that's what it was. There were a couple of moments with the creatures before that where I didn't really, they look creepy and everything. But, there were scenarios where they should have been, more dangerous than they were, because Azrael, she was able to evade them pretty easily. But then there's this section in the middle where it just goes haywire and bloody as hell. Like, how violent is this movie going to be? And then, oh boy, yes, okay, now we know, gloves are off. Yeah, this is going to be a bloodbath. And from that point on, that's when it got interesting, and it really stayed a bloodbath of a movie. Samara Weaving is great in this. There is no dialogue whatsoever except for maybe one scene. But I'd say 99.2% of this movie, there's no dialogue. And that's asking a lot of an audience. It is. You have to have other stuff in there. And there's been plenty of movies like A Quiet Place that have no dialogue, but there's always other stuff going on. There's ways that they are able to accomplish exposition. And I think that might have been one of the problems with this movie, is the lack thereof. But Samara Weaving, she is really sinking her teeth into this role and giving it her all. This is a survival movie for this character, and you have to buy that she's able to use her wits and stay alive. And I think for the most part they do that. There are quite a few instances in this where she should be dead, but she is luckily saved. So it's more about luck than it is skill in certain moments of the movie, because otherwise our movie's over. I loved the last act, and unfortunately I can't spoil anything, but for me, the last act really saved this movie. You find out more about these religious zealots and their whole purpose, and it all comes to a head. And you're definitely going to have questions even about the main character, Azrael. I've said this before. Sometimes villains, they think they're the good guys, and this is one of those movies. You can tell that these villains, they definitely think what they are doing is for their own protection. They're saving their clan. So in their eyes, they're the good guy, and Azrael is the bad guy. And I do like that aspect of this movie. You're constantly asking yourself, wait, maybe she will end up being the bad guy. Who knows, right? So there's always these lingering questions, and that's a good thing. Now, jumping into the cons, and I kind of sprinkled some in the pros, and I think I just did that so I could kind of send it home that eventually I did like where it landed. But yeah, this movie's not perfect. And like I said, that first half, it's asking a lot. And by the way, we're in the middle of a hurricane coming towards us right now. I don't think it's going to hit us that hard, but we definitely had a power outage in the theater during a big scene. And what made it even worse is we could hear it, but we couldn't see it. And after everything came back on and the guy came in, I was like, can you rewind it? And he said that, yeah, we could see if we could do that. They never did. So I heard what was going on in this really pivotal scene, but I'd have to go watch the movie again to see exactly what went on, because it's very important. But I got the gist of what happened. I guess to the movie's credit, maybe that scene visually would have made me not as bored with the first half, even though I kind of understood what was going on. Also, there's really no chemistry between the love interest, and the love interest isn't really that important to the movie. So I think they definitely could have invested some time in this relationship to make you really care about what was going on. And again, guys, this isn't a love story, all right? Most of this movie is just Samara Weaving evading capture. And the love interest kind of just plays a part at the beginning. This ain't Last of the Mohicans, all right? But luckily, I think that's it for the cons. I just think the script itself definitely needed some work. Yeah, I get the gist of what they were going for biblically and all that. And I think the good thing is this is going to make people that might not know everything about the Rapture, go looking it up. And that's not a bad thing either, I guess. I think they could have explained things a little bit better. And maybe this movie needed a character to come in there, because there is a character that comes in here that actually speaks. He speaks a different language, but he speaks. But it would have been cool to have maybe another character, or even like a flashback of a character with some exposition explaining more of what was going on. But again, the movie does get better as it goes along, and I think that's a great thing. I'll even say, like, the very last moment in the movie kind of gave me chills. I thought it was really cool. All right, so I'm gonna give this a high humdrum. That's where I'm at, and I can see why they didn't go hard in the paint on the promotion of this movie. Very little people probably even know that much about it. But as a horror fan, I think you might find some enjoyment out of this. I think if you're not really into horror, especially like religious horror, then you're not going to like this at all. Definitely quenched my bloodthirst for horror movies. There's a lot of blood in this movie, which is really nice. So let me know what you guys think of Azrael in the comments when you get a chance to see it, if you see it. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Also, be sure to come over to Kill Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do Free for Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on my socials. Support me on Patreon. Become a channel member. Buy me a coffee. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Drumdum out.